Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Give Away a T-shirt for free to our Patreon members.
That's a good name for this series.
It's a very catchy title.
Long may it rain.
Well, you say long may it rain, it's no longer raining in its current form. So this month we've taken submissions of some facts that people have submitted, and I have collated together and whittled down. But after this episode, going forward, just every single patron, you don't need to do anything, you just need to be a patron member of any tier, and you will have a chance to win a free t-shirt every single month. We're just going to pull names out of a hat in inventive, different, fun ways that we think of.
Yeah, so just from this point onwards, if you are a member of our Patreon, you will be in with a chance to win a free t-shirt. You don't have to do anything. It's just, we're going to, once a month, like Luke says, pull a name out of a hat. Maybe we'll literally get a big hat and put every name in the hat. Maybe we'll bob for apples, I think is a suggestion Brad's had. Maybe we'll do other dumb stuff, but we're going to just come up with a creative, inventive way to select one of our Patreons at random and just send them some free stuff.
Yeah, so, and the patron will always be contacted, and you will get a selection of any t-shirt you want from the Psycho store. So you get to pick whether it be Fat Fiend or Psycho merch. It's just pick a design, tell us what size you want, and we'll get it sent out to you.
Yeah, and we can do international shipping as well, because Psycho takes care of that for us.
But without further ado, I've collated a few facts, as I said. To keep things hopefully a relatively short and snappy video, I have whittled it down to 10 facts.
Okay.
And I have done my best to keep things not too depressing for like a nice video, and B,
can I talk about that just before you go on to B?
I was just going to say, okay, like, I've not fully fact-checked things. I've just given each one a quick Google to see, like, does it come up with some results? And these ones seemingly all do. So.
Okay. So the thing I wanted to point out is that every time, because as a rule, we don't take suggestions for Fact Fiend. Because, you know, we talk about stuff that we find interesting, and I was a researcher for 10 years before we started Fact Fiend. It's something I very much enjoy, but every single time someone tries to suggest, it's always like, why don't you talk about like the molasses disaster where like 30 people drowned in boiling hot molasses? It's like, that's not fun. Who would have fun talking about that? Or it's like, why don't you talk about insert serial killer? And it's like, because they kill people and it's a comedy show?
Yeah, it's not fun to make tangents on that kind of stuff.
And I get it, like, you know, true crime podcasts are a thing, and I hate every single one of them.
Lucas, what was your criteria for whittling them down?
It was essentially, keep it not too depressing. Like, there's some, like, like, you know, not harrowing, I don't know the right word, but it's not all super light and fluffy stuff, but it was just kind of stuff that I wasn't really aware of, stuff that I found interesting that I wasn't aware of, and stuff that I didn't find super depressing.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I say, I just tried to whittle it down to 10 things to just keep things going. And are we all ready for fact number 1?
I'm ready for fact number 1, yeah. So I'm curious if there's any of these that I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing is, this is literally things I didn't know. So these may be really well known or really not well known. I don't know. I
probably won't know them.
I may have just gaps in knowledge that might be very well known. But the first one is that the way Spotify delivers music to its listeners through the use of microgenres. And this, it's like basically the way they've designed the algorithm is that it's super specific to serve up content similar to what you already like without straying too far, thus providing a more intense and seeming personalized selection. New microgenres are added constantly, and as of today, when the fact was submitted, 13th of August, 2023, there were 6,275 genres to choose from.
Yeah, a lot of social media sites, not social media sites, sorry, service sites, like Netflix does something similar. You might have seen many years ago, where they just occasionally have these funny categories of like, cop drama with bald lead. As a joke, people like screenshotting or what is this? And it's like, no, that's something Netflix tracks. Because, like, you know...
Right.
So yeah, all service sites do this, and basically like, they just take all the basic stuff, actor, genre, length, year release, any like noteworthy facts, but then like they just get more and more into that. And it's like one of the things like dumb AI, it's what they train it on.
It's really interesting because like they linked an article to it which was very helpful to a couple of people that did.
Yeah, I love when people just tell you a fact and just say, it's like everyone knows this.
And it was just like, oh yeah, if you look on like this massive grid and it's like, oh, over here it's like more relaxed kind of music. Over here it's like these kind of instruments work and stuff like that. And it's how, Spotify can not just give you like a pop punk playlist, but it's pop punk from like the bands that you listen to, but also like 4 bands that are similar.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like on my Discover Weekly, I get the same type of music, so that's all I listen to. I kind of listen to the same sort of rock music.
And then every now and again you get that extra one, yeah.
There's like, so many bands I've never heard of, but they all sound like every other band that I listen to. And then it throws in the occasional like dance techno track every now and then.
The curveball.
I'm like, a bit, ooh.
It's just what it is. It's just like Spotify, and it's just pushing you a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like YouTube does something very similar, but it's not as subtle, where it's just like, oh, you watched a video about video games? Okay, here's like alt-right Nazis telling you why women in media are ruining everything.
You're not even joking, that's the worst thing.
That's the thing, but Spotify, Amazon Prime, Netflix, they have a gentler touch. And it's like, it's a very specific thing that they do, and it's one of the reasons why like AI, people are like, oh, AI will fix everything. Well, they've been using it for decades.
Yeah.
It's all Spotify. It's like a very dumb AI trained on. You listen to this kind of music, it has these 80 different tags that we use internally you don't get to see. And so when I found out that Netflix tracks how long you watch a TV show for, and they use that to make TV shows, and that's how House of Cards came to be. Because they looked and then, okay, so shows about political intrigue that are over 40 minutes in length, based on existing properties, starring these actors, tend to do quite well. So they made House of Cards. Like, it was literally just designed by AI committee. They went just like, this is algorithmically the perfect show for people on Netflix right now.
Mm-hmm.
And even the length of the episodes was like decided by the algorithm. And no one ever talks about that.
They just didn't pick the right actor, did they?
Well, that's the thing at the time. That's the thing you have to remember.
They did at the time. Yeah.
At the time, Kevin Spacey was very bankable, but he was also very cheap, and that's something else the algorithm detected of. He's a good actor that people recognise, but he's also been in a lot of shit, so you can get him quite cheap.
Like you mentioned AI, I imagine like what if in the future AI just makes TV shows, like how like if you made let an AI create a TV show now.
Well, that's what like, House of Cards was. Like, it wasn't made by AI, but the concept was suggested by Netflix's own internal algorithm, which told them that if you made a show like this, it would do very well, and it became like their number one hit.
Well, let's not forget that we've already had that Twitch channel that got banned because it was like AI doing Seinfeld shows, and then when it got the characters to do stand-up jokes, it immediately got removed from Twitch for like racist jokes.
Well, to be fair though, that's true to real life. One of the guys from Seinfeld very infamously screamed the N-word at a bunch of people at one of his shows.
Somebody
a trailblazer.
Speaking of AI TV shows, there was those people who were trending on Twitter for a while because they made an AI that could build South Park episodes.
And everyone's like, get rid of this.
And it was an entire South Park episode. They got an AI trained in the voices, they trained it on all of the scripts, and you could type in a prompt and it would make the entire episode. They weren't good, but it sort of tells you at what like level this stuff's at and how it could advance in the future. And obviously they didn't ask permission, because why would they?
Yeah, that's the thing. Do you ever see that one where it was like the guy who made a book? He went, I built a catalogue of books. I've trained an AI on it. It's a useful tool. And then authors are like, well, you've got books that aren't available online. You've got to pay, but you've not paid for them. So you've illegally downloaded and pirated my books, now trained an algorithm on my writing style. What the fuck? If you want to take it down, just send me an email and I'll remove it for you. And it's like, no. That's not how this works.
You'll give me like all these like good examples of AI. I've just in my head got a TikTok that I saw where someone made an AI of Boris Johnson at a theme park, and it's just pictures of him on rides, like really distorted to the Carly Rae Jepsen music.
To be fair, that's what Boris Johnson looks like most of the time anyway.
And that's the thing is, like, there's a big difference between like the AI we're talking about, where it's just machine learning, and like actual artificial intelligence. But
yeah, and it's just an extension.
It's shorthand now, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Like you could just 10 years ago, it'd be the algorithm. just
But-
under a new name.
Shall we move on to fact
Move on.
I was
two?
going to say, we can't spend like 10 minutes talking about every fact.
Well, that's just an interesting jumping off.
You
That's
can't.
the nature of the
Yeah.
channel, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So the next one, the common ink cap, Coprinopsis atramentaria, is a common delicacy that's used in many vegetarian dishes. However, it can also be very poisonous with the consumption of alcohol. And apparently, when I googled it, it said like it's not recommended to have alcohol 3 days before or after consuming this item.
It's a
I knew
mushroom,
that.
isn't it?
Do you know where I learned
Yeah.
that?
Oh my god.
Metal Gear Solid 3. Paramedic tells you, because you can have a Siberian ink cap, which is based on that, presumably, where she tells you of like, don't get drunk afterwards, it'll give you the worst hangover you've ever had.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
So yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, just eat it, but also make sure you don't have alcohol like that fucking week.
Just watching 72 hours, alright, I can drink alcohol again.
I'm
Or
not
drink
eating-
alcohol and have the best night you've ever, the cheapest, best night out you've ever had.
I'm
one
not
shot
eating
of
something
it.
if it comes with like a timeline of when I can and can't do other things around it.
That reminds me of when I used to go swimming. And do you know that myth about you can't go swimming 30 minutes afterwards, you'll get a stitch, which isn't true, by the way. And there was just a sign at my local swimming pool with like a pot noodle on it that just said, bad noodle make you sink. The way that was written always made me giggle. It was like, bad noodle make you sink, eat good noodle. Because
Well,
you
that's
see
the thing
it's like the tuck shop and get a pot noodle or something like that after you've been swimming. It's like, bad noodle make you sink, eat pot noodle.
Just, I think it just comes from like, if you go swimming on a full stomach, yeah, you'll probably feel sick for it.
You'll float better though.
So I try and eat at least 40 minutes before I go swimming, just in case.
There's no scientific backing for it. It's just, I think it's the same thing when we talked about like Chinese food giving people headaches. It's one guy one time went, well, I ate
too
like,
much.
an entire Indian buffet. I went swimming and felt like shit. And it's like, yeah, because you're not supposed to. It's not that you don't exercise go swimming after eating. It's like just exercising after eating a big meal doesn't feel very good.
Yeah.
It's like with spicy food, they say, because I always get headaches after eating spicy food, but they say, it's not the spice, it's what you eat it with. But it doesn't matter what I eat it with, it will give me a headache. If something is spicy.
It's because you
give me a headache.
sweat when you eat it.
Yeah.
And sweating removes salt from your body, and lack of salt causes headaches. So if you want to stop headaches, just
Eat salt.
electrolyte tablets.
Yeah,
Well, salt your meal. It's why you get a hangover. Like Joey, the headache, the hangover. It's because you sweat while you're dancing and drinking, and you're not getting enough salts.
Why'd you just have salt on your desk ready to go, Brad?
Because I ate at my desk last night and I added a bit of extra salt to it, so it just happens to be.
I need to
I was
hydrate now.
Brad came pre-prepared with props of facts he didn't know were coming.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like that weird fact that water isn't the most hydrating thing you can drink. Like there are things that are better hydrators than pure water because your body doesn't necessarily crave the water; it sometimes craves the minerals within it, which pure water obviously doesn't contain.
Next fact.
Next fact, indeed. So the reason that Japan created tentacle erotica is due to an old painting named "The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife." This painting was in turn inspired by the introduction of Christianity into Japan.
Yeah,
And like the dream of the fisherman's wife is literally like an old school like Japanese drawing of literally like a naked woman covered in an octopus and all its tentacles and everything.
Yeah, it's also partly to get around censorship laws because Japanese pornography is not allowed to show penetration. That's why you always the classic censored pics. Like everyone in Japan's got pixelated genitals, but things like a dildo or the tentacles of an alien don't have to be censored.
Oh.
So is Jesus inadvertently responsible for tentacle porn?
Maybe.
Just putting a new spin on his noodly appendage. That's one, yeah.
Gotta respect it, just like
It's
Christians help make tentacle porn.
Oh yeah.
He knew as well. Back all the way back then, he knew. He knew where it would eventually lead. That was his ultimate goal. The second coming, that's what he called it.
Yeah, to be fair though, he spent most Jesus is famous for getting nailed.
Oh my god.
Do you want to move swiftly on, Lucas?
Yeah, I guess we
I
should
have
after
nothing
that.
to say.
So this is one that I didn't know, but I presume will be like a bit more well known. But George Washington was actually a redhead and powdered his hair to be like white wigs, but never actually wore one.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No,
Didn't know that. No.
He had hair about the length of yours, Nisha. He reportedly had a bright red power metal mane, and he had it styled to look like a powdered wig, and he had it very tightly coiled up behind his head.
Have a look at
But he never actually went bald or wore a wig, and people were often surprised when they saw him without his hair down. It's like, after like on the battlefield or something when he's relaxing, you just see George Washington like in a lake, just like, oh, like a L'Oreal advert.
Imagine him with hair like this.
Yeah, but one of history's most famous and successful redheads.
And yeah, I presume at this point, like the way things are going, just every single one of these Carl's probably going to be aware of.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the winner is the one he
add
doesn't
some
know.
additional factoids as well.
Exactly. No, yeah, it's appreciated. It is. It's just like for anyone watching, going like, "Oh, I didn't get Carl." It's like Carl's literally been researching weird shit online for like over a decade.
Yeah, it's also the thing of I really don't like when a fact has just the sentence but then no context or something, because it makes you go, and that's why Fact Fiend existed. I hated those websites and channels where they go, "Did you know?" and they tell you something, but then they don't explain why. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, am I supposed to take your word for it? Like, what's the background for that?
Yeah, like, did you know George Washington was a redhead? And you'd be like, but why? Why are none of the pictures depicting like that?
We can't explain why we're redheads, Brad. We're just born that way, okay?
What I mean is, why is he never depicted as a redhead? Because there's obviously a reason, and as Carl said, it's because he used to style his hair in a certain way.
Yeah, it's also why you never see him smile. It's the thing about him having a couple of teeth.
Because redheads never smile.
No, it's why he looks so pissed off, because he had like horrible tooth pain. So he just clenched his jaw to breathe, which is why he looks so dignified in a lot of his photos. It's like, no, he's just pissed off.
Just in pain.
Yeah.
Looking at one right now, he does look like...
Yeah, he's got a very stern face.
I can kind of see a bit of redhead there.
He didn't quite get all of like it covered. He didn't do a good dye job on it.
Someone's done a really bad Photoshop.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, for the sake of these, they are just like, here is the fact. Yeah, but it is nice that Carl's able to help us out with
give us some backstory.
My ultimate goal is for there to be one that I know and Carl doesn't.
Well, the thing is, I've literally got an article on Fact Fiend called George Washington Had a Pretty Metal Haircut where I talk about this. So.
There we go.
From 2017.
So someone just stole a Fat Fiend video and fed it back to us.
And we do have a portrait of him with red hair. I can send it to a general chat now, and I can send it to you, Lucas, if you need to. But yeah, there's a portrait of him with his original haircut.
Is it the one that I just looked at? It is, yeah, I just looked at that one.
Let me have a look. Oh, okay. Yeah, just, man. Has anyone ever told him he needs to smile more?
He's like, no, I am smiling. Yeah, next one.
So the next one, I don't know how to pronounce these things, but the project Tall Farrell, which Lighthouse Tower, also known as Pica de Brennand, the Dick of Brennand, from the plastic artist Francisco Brennand, was built to celebrate the 500th year since the discovery of Brazil, and it was once censored by the wife of the city mayor. It was erected in Recife, I believe the city is, and essentially it was just censored because it looked way too much like a giant dick.
Yeah, that's a common thing. Remember when we had that modern art? I'm not saying the modern art, I know modern art's completely valid, but it was like the modern art take on a Christmas tree in London, like a butt plug.
Yes.
Remember that one? It happens all the time. Or like the gherkin.
Yeah.
Where they built the gherkin. It's like, oh, it looks like a gherkin. I was like, no, it looks like a dick.
I just find it interesting that like someone actually went to the point of actually censoring the tower.
That's all.
So it's like there's a lot of just big things that you can go, oh, looks like a penis, but to actually follow through and be like, no, we need to censor this shit.
How do you censor a tower?
I guess just like put shit over it.
But then it still looks like a big. Was it like? Is it that it had like the rim and stuff, so it looked like a penis? So that's what they fixed. Because most towers do look like penises.
Yeah, it's a very phallic objects out there.
Like, yeah, and like specifically the top of it is very like bulbous as well. Like, yeah.
So they could have added like attachments that made it look like less.
Yeah, just like I did.
No, they just added pixelation in real life. Just imagine you walk past a building, it's just pixelated. Like,
was that Black Mirror episode where you can like mute people in real life. So
Yeah.
they just have that
Yeah.
technology, but for things that look a bit
Pixelated
rude.
stuff, yeah.
But then
Well,
you don't.
that's,
Then you walk past it and be
I
like, I
think
want to know what it is.
actually, I feel like there is a Black Mirror episode where a mother could do that to a daughter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is where like she's like, I don't want you to be like you block people in real life,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you like
So
can't
the
see
dau-
their faces or
the
hear
daughter
them or
just
anything.
sees like blurs and pixelations because the mother's blocked it. Yeah, there is a Black Mirror episode like that.
And that's
Yeah.
the future that like Google wanted with Google Glass, isn't it?
Mm.
Of like, oh, just walk around and be able to see like internet history of any face that you look at.
Oh
It's
my
like, no,
God.
that's deeply disturbing.
I will never forget that when there was that guy who, like, he went to the news and, like, I got beaten up for being a cyborg because he had, like, a Google Glass implant in his eyes. Like, I got assaulted for having... No, he tried to frame it as, like, the first cyborg person to be assaulted for being a cyborg. So I've got a Google Glass implant in my eye. And, like, you know, a guy came up and harassed me for it. And it's like, well, where did this happen? Well, we're in the bathroom. And a guy walked in with his kid. And he asked if, like, my eye could record. And I went, yes. And then he beat me up. And he's like, so you went into a bathroom with a camera and a parent and child walked in and you told them you could record their child taking a piss?
He did the full-on Dr. Disrespect move.
He
Of
did,
like,
yeah. Just
going
didn't get a Twitch
into
deal out of it.
fucking... Going into bathrooms with cameras.
Anyway,
Just
next.
fucking hell.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
trying to find it as well. There's a statue of like some hero from like the founding of America, and like his statue is him doing like this, his hands like that, as if he's like saying, "No, this is enough."
Yeah.
Like, you know, just this is the level we're going to deal with. But when the sun sets behind it, he's got a fucking sick erection.
Oh god.
It's
got-
so funny.
Got the old school subscribe dong going.
He's got the one, the classic.
So this was another one where I assumed that like quite a lot of people might know this one because it's just about a famous person.
Mhm.
I was not aware of it. And it's just simply that Albert Einstein's final words were in German, but the only person around them was a nurse who didn't speak German, so no one knows what he said.
Like, it's a few
Yeah,
hurried
I've
words in
I've heard
German.
of it.
I wrote an article about last words. It's like
Oh,
Einstein's the famous one.
Yeah.
And then you have Oscar Wilde, who, like, very famous said, I don't know what's going to go first, darling, me or the wallpaper. And it turns out, like, that's what his friend said. And his real last words were a hurried prayer because he was scared of dying. It's like, fair enough, yeah, but
Yeah.
as a famous
It does-
wit.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as poetic for Oscar Wilde to the last words were just like he prayed.
And then I think Roald Dahl's last words were to his family was something like really poetic about how he's going to miss them and he's like his legacy. Then they gave him a massive injection of morphine, so his last words were "fuck."
I mean, to be fair though, a massive injection of morphine doesn't sound like a bad way to go.
Yeah, that's what they did to ease his passing, but like the needle hurt. But, yeah,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
and a lot of those
It's
are
like-
what's the word now? Probably apocryphal, because when I wrote the article, all these famous last words you always hear about, when you actually dig into it, it's like, well, no, it's like this is one of the last things they said to the last person there, and most of them died in their sleep. They could have said any shit.
Mhm.
So a lot of them were like delirious or like dying of fever, all sorts of bollocks.
Can you imagine like someone on their deathdead now, like using modern slang as like last words, like GG, and then just going,
GG easy rematch, let's go.
just going.
Gigi's great last words.
The thing is, there's some good ones. There was like this guy in America, like the one, and what I found is pretty much the only guaranteed source you can find for actual last words are death row inmates, because they get a chance to make a statement and then they very definitely die straight afterwards. And there was this guy who like calls like something like James French or something like that, and his last words were, "Hey, how's this for a headline? French fries," and then they electrocuted him. And it's like, fair enough, he killed someone, but you've got to respect the confidence.
Oh,
It's like directly into like the eyes of the person who's like the family of the person he killed. And it's like, that's a sociopath.
Next fact.
yeah. So the giant ditch frog is more commonly known as the mountain chicken, and it's the largest amphibian native to the Caribbean islands of Dominica and Montserrat. And it is essentially a local delicacy because the frog apparently tastes like chicken, and therefore like gained the title. And at some point, like, you know, essentially got hunted to the point of being endangered. And apparently it also croaks like a chicken sounds. I love the idea of just a frog that sounds vaguely like a chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the new Chicken Run trailer's just come out. Imagine that lineup, and then just on the end is just a frog.
I saw that. They've got to break into the prison this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mrs. Tweedy's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm not much to say, but I know commonly frog eating, but
Carl's
if anyone's curious why all things taste like chicken, it's something to do with fast twitch and slow twitch muscles. Oh wait, my camera's frozen.
Yeah, your camera's frozen.
I just look very, very thick. So I'll go sort that out now. One sec.
I was like, Carl looks really annoyed at this fact.
He's just not interested.
He's really not.
And he's gone. I didn't notice until just now that he's got the green screen thing stuck on the wall behind him.
Yeah. Carl will be back with us. It's like little technical difficulties.
Oh, he's back.
There we go.
Yay.
So you're telling us why things taste like chicken, Carl?
Yeah, it's to do with the muscle meat. Fast twitch and slow twitch. Like larger animals like cows have slow twitch, I think it is, and small animals have fast twitch. And that affects their protein content and their taste. And that's why it's not like everything tastes like chicken. It's just that animals with fast twitch muscles taste the same. And because chicken is the most popular eaten meat, it's the point of reference for a lot of people. But it's like if you ate nothing but frogs, you'd probably taste a chicken and go, it tastes like frog. And from that I learned that a lot of dinosaurs had similar muscle density and makeup to birds, so dinosaurs would taste like chicken.
And that also that implies, if it's like, that means they have fast twitch muscles, which means that they all like moved with the velocity of chickens.
Well, that's the thing, the big birds aren't the dinosaurs.
Unfortunately, Jurassic Park lied to us, they're not big lizards.
Yeah. Well, I think lizards have similar makeup. A lot of lizards and amphibians are said to taste like chicken.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't I think say where it said dinosaurs had feathers?
Oh yeah,
rather than scales as well.
That's
so,
the more common belief nowadays. Yeah,
it's the belief touted by featherists. Not about this. Now,
scalists.
I believe the science, but I adhere to the old thing of I prefer they just look cooler as giant lizards. I believe when scientists say they've got feathers.
Those raptors that are covered in like parrot-coloured feathers all down them, they look cool.
They look rad, yeah.
They do look cool, but it's just that's the thing is that when we got cool dinosaur toys as a kid, they weren't birds, so we don't want them to be birds.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And moving on to our next fact. Planet Venus orbits the Sun in 225 Earth days, but its rotation takes 243 Earth days, making the year actually shorter than its day.
Yeah. Very, very popular fact. It was one I learned in school because they teach you about the difference between a day and a year. It's like, is a day longer than a year? No, well, it is on Venus. Because a day is like the time it takes the planet to turn around once, whereas a year is the time it takes to go around the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought it's a very simple one, but I just like the idea that it's like, a year being shorter than a day.
It's just it's a fun way to teach kids, isn't it, of the concept of like, what is a day? They'll say, it's nighttime. So, well, what causes nighttime? It's like because the Earth turns away from the sun.
What would
for Brad, it's when the disc turns upside down.
That's not actually true.
The disc never turns upside down.
When the local sun is too far away to be seen because of... Fuck off.
I still fucking love that image that goes around every now and again. I got kicked out of the Flat Earth group for sharing the forbidden image, and it's the meteorite hitting the disc and all the dinosaurs flying off. It still gets me every single time.
It's like that one where it's like what flat earthers see on a clear day, and it's just every landmark.
Yeah.
My favourite flat earth thing recently is the people who say the outside of the ice wall that's around the edge of the flat earth are more continents and things. But then they're the same people who are like, don't believe stuff you've not seen without your own eyes.
My favourite one is that they also deny climate change. It's like, surely climate change is now the biggest worry ever? Because if the ice wall melts, we just fall off the edge.
All the water just pours off.
Yeah, that's it. You think they'd be like... But you get flat earthers who are also... because obviously they're all in on conspiracy theories. They also deny climate change. It's like, if the ice is melting, that's a real big deal.
in their head, they're just wanting the Earth to get to that point where, like, you know, when the water's just like rising over but hasn't burst yet, it's still got like the tension in the water, so it's just waiting.
But that would mean the water can curve, Lucas, and water can't curve.
Oh,
water always finds its level.
Even though you can see it curve over the top of a fucking glass in your house with a drop.
Even though water droplets are literally curve water.
I need to watch that documentary on Netflix where they have like multiple times where they do experiments and see that it proves the Earth is flat. And then and you see them do the mental math apparently, where they realise admitting I'm wrong means I've got to like admit I've been a dick to my family for the last 15 years. And they just go, I can't deal with that. The test is wrong.
Yeah, but they prove Earth's rotation with a gyroscope, and then they prove the curvature with a laser, and then apparently at the end, there's someone like records a quiet conversation where one of them says to another, "Don't tell anyone about the findings." It's like,
so they're now part of the conspiracy theory.
They know they're wrong, but they just won't admit it.
Well, they've built entire, I presume, profitable cults out of this thing, like. You know, like, it's probably their entire livelihood would get torn away if they admit it.
It's also it's been their entire life.
Yeah, a lot of it's also bound to religion as well.
Yeah, imagine that thing you spent like your entire life doing. So think about how hard it was for people to walk away from Game of Thrones. Enjoying Game of Thrones, people like made.
I mean, after that last season, it was pretty.
Yeah,
easy,
that's what I mean. But think about like, you know, the actual like emotional whiplash people got from realizing Game of Thrones is shit now. And like you had people like they couldn't handle it, and this like, you know, so no, it's not that bad. You see them reason it in real time, don't you? It's like, oh, it's not that bad. It's like the same thing, just on like, you know, a much funnier scale.
Because the MCU is the most recent example because the quality's been going down for a while.
Even though it's not, I contend it's not. It's just no one's giving it a chance.
I think the issue I've got is that the movies no longer feel as interconnected because there's no overarching idea of what's happening.
It's almost like they're setting up a new phase, like they did.
Like yeah, that's what phase one was.
Maybe we're just too used to. I
think people just have to put their mindset back to what phase one was, and like the quality of the movies, and none of them really linked together,
except for one cameo at the end that hinted at it, and it's like people love that, but now because they're used to it, so they just want a movie where fucking Iron Man shows up halfway through for no reason.
There's also too many at the moment. I'm definitely feeling the burnout.
Yeah,
from
the
number of
amount.
projects.
The amount is too much. But anyway, moving on. We have the Highlands of Scotland, the Atlas Mountains of Africa, and the hills of West Virginia are all part of the same original mountain range, and they are essentially what remains of like the spine of Pangaea. And it's just that, you know, another conspiracy theory of like that never happened. It was never all one landmass. It's like we can literally see where mountain ranges line up together.
It's another thing you learn it's another thing you learn when you're a kid, isn't it? They put a map of the world in front of you. Is there anything you notice about some of these countries? And even as a kid, you look and go, well, some of them look like they kind of fit together.
It's like puzzle pieces.
Yeah, like the Horn of Africa kind of fits into this bit here. It almost looks like they just split apart from the middle. And then you get told, well, that's what there used to be a big supercontinent, and we know this because there's like things that the only way to explain why you'd have like certain mountain ranges that have the same density and rock formations in them, despite being thousands of miles apart.
Animals as well that share traits and characteristics but are on completely different continents. Share DNA more than anything.
So bring it back. Bring back the supercontinent.
The part I love about it is the idea that Russia and America are just getting closer again. And eventually they crash.
I can't believe that Karl just like sips on the cup of the supercontinent conspiracy theory. Just believes all these lies.
Bring it back, like I said. Give me the megacontinent.
And just one last fact to end on, and this is just one that I saved to be a bit more lighthearted at the end, is just about a cat.
Okay.
And it's like, you know, most cats act like cats, but there is the breed, the Ragdoll Cat, which is almost exactly like dogs, and they are known as like the cats that act like dogs or the puppy cats.
Yeah.
And essentially just, all of their behaviours are completely antithetical to what cats do. And, like, they behave exactly like dogs for whatever reason.
I thought, like, Luna was behaving like a dog. She used to play fetch.
And that's the thing, is, like,
it, though, now.
Kittens become quite playful and stuff, but it's like, they had some examples of, you know, like, for cats, wagging their tails means like they're on the hunt or uncomfortable or something. But with a ragdoll cat, like they just wag their tail because they're happy, like a dog does. It's like, that's pretty cool. It's just a nice little one to end on of just
really
the cats that really act like dogs and just secretly are dogs in disguise.
Just trying to get you in. It's how you get the dog person to buy a cat.
It's the gateway cat.
Yeah, as soon as you get it, he just lies on your laptop screen and like shits in your cup of coffee.
Is this just big cat propaganda? It's like, oh yeah, you get this cat. It's totally like a dog, and then they just like throw your glass off your table. It's like
that bit in Gladiators, isn't it? Where he sells that guy some giraffes because they're going to paint his house, and it's like, these giraffes don't paint, and he goes, well, maybe they don't like the colour.
For God's sake.
I love that. So imagine like selling someone a giraffe and convincing them, yeah, you'll paint your house. It's fucking sick. It's like, what a hustle. I love that guy.
See, I forgot about that. I just thought you meant like, oh, you could use them to like climb on and like paint higher areas of your house or something.
No, like the guy
actually just paint your house.
Yeah, he tells someone like, these giraffes will paint your house, and he's like, they don't paint, they just stand there, and the guy's like, lol. How you fell for that? It just basically
easy.
Just like, let's go. Just Tom Sawyer in it all the way up.
Oh God. But
that's like I was going to say, I feel like with my mum's dog, because he's been around the cats, he sometimes thinks he might be a cat.
Yeah,
our cats sit on the backs of sofas and stuff like that, and like tuck their arms in. He tends to do that. He'll just sit on the back of the sofa and just be like,
is that
do you
great
think
picture?
You're a cat?
It's like that husky that was raised by cats, and you see it like hiding under desks and stuff like a cat, because it's the only point of reference for how to act is cats.
Cute.
Can you imagine like the dickheadedness of a cat, but the size of a husky?
Oh yeah.
It's like when it once does, Carl says like, just sit on top of your laptop while you work. It just comes out. Poof,
it's like a lion.
The thing is, all you need is just this picture, just showcasing it, and you get it.
Oh,
It's like the baby just peering out the box.
Oh.
It's so good.
Yeah, definitely cat-like. Yeah, she went through a phase. We went through a phase of just fetching and bringing back like a dog. I was like, I mean, she's grown out of it a bit now, so it was probably just the kitten in her. But I was like, oh, part dog, part cat.
It's not long before just Trunks is getting tapped off that shelf while you're recording. Just like, no.
It's like the dog that thinks it's a cat and it's just sat on fridge. Like, it's just on top of a fridge. And it's like my brother's old dog. Like, he said he's the neediest dog ever. And I'm like, he can't be that needy. And I went out to get milk and I turned around and it is sat on the kitchen sink staring out of the window. And it just stares out the window until I came back.
Oh. Sometimes like, when I come back from being out, I'll just look up to my office window and I just see these eyes staring down at me. She just blends into the background. Just these eyes like, where have you been? Where have you been?
So what do you do though if you come in and your dog's just on the fridge? It's like, you're just like, how? It's like that picture of that cat, isn't it? It's on a sofa where all the cushions have been pulled off and it's just sat on the empty sofa. It's like, one, how did you do this? Two, why did you do this?
Well, like, Luna has this toy, you know those, like, the, like, track toys which have balls in, which they can't get out. They're meant to just...
Pat them around.
Pat them around. When I wasn't looking, and it's annoying because I didn't get this on camera, I was filming her, like, around this sort of time, but I missed this significant moment. I looked away for literally, like, a minute, turned back, she'd got the ball that was on the track out, and replaced it with another toy. She'd stuffed another toy in it, like a taco, like a crunchy taco. I was like,
legend.
How did you do that? And I missed getting proof. And I was like,
I like a friend of mine had a dog where if you didn't like give it attention, it'd take your shoes and put it in its water bowl. That's always thought that's like such a dick move. Of like, if you didn't come in and fuss it, it'd take your shoes and put it in its water bowl, so your shoes would be piss wet through.
Animals are so fun.
They are, and that's why I just wanted to end on that nice one of just like a nice little animal fact to cheer us all up. Not that, as I said, I didn't pick anything specifically to bring us all down.
Yeah, and I will abstain from picking from this one because Yeah.
So I guess it's down to kind of Brad and Nisha, because I guess me picking these 10 is kind of me already throwing my hat into the ring.
You can be the deciding vote if they both decide the same one.
Yeah. If you just can't all decide, then we can come to a committee agreement. But if you got any ones that specifically stand out,
yeah, because the only one I wasn't familiar with, is the Ragdoll Cat one. The rest I already had some inkling of.
I keep thinking about the chicken frog.
Chicken frog.
That's what I keep thinking about.
It's just so delicious, it nearly killed itself. Too delicious.
Just like the thought of a frog sounding like a chicken, and then reversing that, thinking of a chicken sounding like a frog.
That'd be amazing. Just like you go to a chicken, it's just like, what's up?
Or a bit.
How about you, Brad?
Cut this bit out, Lucas. Just quickly run through all 10 again.
Okay, yeah.
No, just do you can better that as an edit.
Yeah.
Go through all 10 just to remind everyone.
Yeah, just because I can only remember like 3 or 4.
Okay, so Brad, you can't remember them all, so quickly just going through them all again. The micro genres of Spotify. We have the ink cap that can't be eaten within like a week of drinking. We have the tentacle erotica painting. The George Washington was a redhead. The Lighthouse Tower that got censored. Albert Einstein's final words. The mountain chicken frog. The Venus year is longer than the day. Longer than the day? Shorter than the day. Mm-hmm. The mountains all being together in the past, and then the Ragdoll Cat.
So I quite like the chicken one, or the one about the mushroom that you can't eat.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you get extremely bad.
The one that
all like fully just be poisoned and die, to clarify.
My favourite one, but not the one I'm going to choose, is just the Venus one, because I'm a big fan of cosmology and stuff. And
right, yeah.
I did know that one. I wasn't sure exactly which planet it was, but I knew one of them was like that. But the thing I found interesting about it is when you brought it up, in my brain I was like, what's a birthday on Venus? Because you can't have more than one, because it's longer than the year. So do you have one birthday, and then it never comes round again? How would you calculate your birthday on Venus? Like, to have more than one?
Oh,
maybe they count years like months and days like years.
That could work, yeah.
Something like that.
But I'm happy to go as well with chicken frog.
Chicken frog.
I think chicken frog's it's a neat little one. That's like, it's not one that nobody would ever know, but it's a fun little idea that there is a frog out there that just is a chicken, basically.
Apparently tastes and sounds like chicken.
I think it knew. I think it changed its taste.
I think it's the fact it sounds like chicken that is sticking with me. Because like I said, a lot of things taste like chicken, so like they all taste similar.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact it sounds like one. This little.
Do you say as well it was almost eaten to extinction?
Yeah, it became like endangered to the point where I think they had to like basically, try and protect and preserve it. Because that's the story of every tasty animal in existence, isn't it? Of like that turtle that scientists couldn't even get back to England because they just kept eating it.
Yeah.
So delicious.
Yeah. The chicken one.
Okay,
the
fabulous
one for me, but yeah, if you think
I reckon go with chicken.
Go with that one then.
So we're going with the mountain chicken, which means that our Discord member, the Great Janitor, wins a t-shirt of their choice, and we'll be contacting them soon. So congratulations!
Yeah, congrats!
And thank you for bringing mountain chickens to our lives. And just generally, thank you to all our patrons, and thank you to everyone that did submit facts. As I said, we couldn't go through like the 30, 40 facts we had submitted because this conversation's already gone on for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed those little facts and tangents and everything. It was like a little Fact Fiend extravaganza video.
Yes.
Can you end this video with a little clip of that frog? If you can find it.
If I can find a clip of the chicken that sounds like a frog.
If you can't find that chicken that sounds like a frog,
Wait, I said it the wrong way round.
The frog that sounds like a chicken.
If you can't find a frog that sounds like a chicken, get that frog.
If you can find a chicken that sounds like a frog,
just get a chicken and add frog sounds.
2 years. That's normal?
That's the alarm call, yeah.
Get that desert pebble toad, do you know, the little round one that's like this big, and it's just like, this is a fierce warrior, and it's like, and it's like 1 inch tall, and it's like, yeah, that's right. Get that one.
Thank you once again,
Cheers, Ronnie.
for everyone for watching.